Hello, PU Frost Lads and Frost Lasses, and welcome to another excellent talk of the world's premier podcast. Um, we're like 10 seconds in, I can up. All right, we're doing real hot. My name is Megazard. I am joined by Hujad. How's it going?
Not too bad, brother. Not too bad.
Pretty busy there, I think, considering how long we delayed this recording. You got finals and
Depends what you
stuff?
define as.
Not finals.
Yeah, depends what you concern. Depends what you mean busy as.
Did you just... you know what? You did. I'm not even going to rhetorically ask if you said bwahaha out loud. Anyway, the big news this week, obviously, Smash. I mean, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. I'm not playing Smash right now. The PU circuit, we've done all the little ones, and now it's time for the big one. We got our 8 qualifiers in seeded order. We got the end of the fall seasonal, which we'll go over in a bit, and then just talk about the matchups and stuff. And that's kind of it. Like, I might be missing things. I've been a little bit out of the loop because I've mostly been playing the Smash Bros. And taking a little break, and Smash really fun, even if online is total garbage. So that's all I can think about. You'll have more current PU insight than me.
Yes, that's. I thought that was a given from day one, but okay, we'll go with that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the fall seasonal final games first. Do you have the replays? I have the replays. I should have linked them. I should have linked them to you before we started, but I'm gonna link them to you right now because I've got them open. I took a look at them right before.
Oh wait, no, I had them open the entire time. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So this was Tasker versus Jiri. Or Ziri. I don't know how other people say it. I like saying Jiri just because it sounds fun to say. And Tasker just kind of won very strongly. I feel like it does not bode well because, spoilers, this is going to be a round 1 PU circuit matchup. They're going to get a rematch real fucking quick. And I feel like Tasker was just actually prepped and playing well, and Ziri had at least one new team in game 1. Game 2 they used that one versus me, but like the teams were like average and they played fine, but there was really nothing crazy on Ziri's side, and Tasker is just like a very competent play, like just was very competent and won. And that was kind of the game. It does not bode well for Ziri to get the to win the run back this upcoming week. A little scary. I mean, the download getting to play Tasker early is definitely going to benefit Ziri because they really need to bring their A game to make the upset. And what we saw was basically just like unlike my games before versus Ziri, where I just like didn't prep and could get match-upped without something really fall back on. It was a very just like Tasker just kind of did good things and won without much competition there. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I had a good idea of what Tasker was bringing based on like our preparation together. Like we talked quite extensively about what he wanted to bring, what would suit.
Oh, so he was actually specifically strongly prepped.
He was,
okay.
Yeah, and we both knew that. Well, we sort of understood that. Okay, his 2 scenarios: Ziri doesn't try hard and bring old teams, or Ziri tries hard and C teams Tasker.
Mm-hmm.
So in the scenario where Ziri brings old teams, we made sure to have Tasker in some sort of element of comfort. So as you can see in the sort of game 1 team, he had the spikes core with rapid spin and a Kangaskhan. So that's like Tasker style offense. And in game 2, he had the pom-pom Metang Skuntank types of core and the Auroras as well. So these are like ones that he's used before. So he's not like uncomfortable with them, or doesn't know the certain like niche technicalities between but what we were specifically focused on, we weren't necessarily neglecting, I guess, a stall matchup, but we wanted to focus. We knew that Zeri would try and almost counter offense. You know how like everyone says, oh, like Tasker is just going to bring offense and steamroll people. That's usually what he does. Tasker was well aware of that. That's why you saw the Quagsire, I think, in Game 2 and the Tangela in Game 1. Is that he wanted a way of circumventing fast hitters in that same manner.
Yeah, so, and I do think that Zeri probably had that thought because the Game 2 team was the team Zeri brought versus me and had a good matchup versus my offense. So I imagine that's probably somewhere on the what they were thinking about.
Yeah, because like if you look at Zeri's sort of team structure, none of the Pokemon there are like supposed to last. Like nothing there has recovery or anything, so you have to
on both teams, really, like a little bit on the first team at least with Swanna, but that's it. No, I actually think it was Scarf Swanna. Yeah, nope. Zeri brought nothing with recovery. Wow, I hadn't even realized that until you pointed it out.
Yeah, so that was to me at least when I saw in Game 1 the team Zeri brought, my immediate thought. Because I stressed it to Tasker like profusely that if he brings an Eggy, it's probably going to be Trick Room because Trick Room Eggy, in my opinion, is like the ultimate offense killer. Like if it gets a Trick Room up, it shatters offense. So like pressure Eggy, you make sure you have like immediate pressure. Make sure nothing can just set it up for free. So I'll just give you a sort of insight into that. The Tangela. One of the techs on the Tangela was actually Hidden Power Ice to hit Eggy specifically. That's one thing that we had accounted for.
Well, I think that's just a good move to run on Tangela in general.
Yeah, because Eggy just in general is just a good mod, but we were sort of aware of the offense, the fact that Zeri would probably want to be good versus offense. So yeah, that's just generally how we went about it.
So yeah, that's pretty fair, and that Zeri recycled at least one team suggests that maybe they didn't do as much prep as Tasker, or maybe they just thought it was a very good pick. It's hard to say. I really haven't talked with Zeri since we were teammates for RUPL months and months ago. Otherwise, I don't know them so well. So this is one of the matchups we'll see for Circuit Round 1, which is what we're going to talk about now. The thread will be up by the time this podcast goes up. The first round. It's not up now, but like for everyone listening, it'll be like, yeah, they're going to talk about the big tournament. So Tasker versus Zeri, one of the matchups. I would still have to favor Tasker. Zeri's like, Zeri is an underdog who has performed very well, gotten some upsets, definitely has the potential to take it, but like the underdog for a reason, and it's not an upset I'm really feeling, to be honest.
Yeah. To be honest, the thing with this game is that I always favor the upset or the second game. I always favor the person who lost the first series to win the second series. Because at the end of the day, they have nothing to lose. So like they'll make some whack plays, they'll do something crazy, they'll fish for matchup harder than they did in the first series because they know that there's probably a skill differential there. So I always favor the person who lost in the first series and the second series. But in this case, I feel like just based off of Game 2, where Zeri brought the same team, I feel like he isn't really too interested in the same way Tasker would.
Well, I don't necessarily want to say that because he just may have thought the team was a good pick specifically versus Tasker. He fell back on it after losing Game 1, especially, which suggests maybe that they're just very comfortable with the team. They did win versus me last week, so that's like, hey, this team's doing good. And I'm also on the same Monotype Winter Premier League team as them, where they put in like a good amount of prep for mono threat of all metas, like not really something huge and relevant. I think there's someone who's going to take this relatively pretty seriously. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I do think they're actually going to try and prep. Can't be certain.
Okay,
but,
so
yeah.
I think probably how this ends up then in that scenario is Zeri tries to fish for matchup more than he did in the first series. And it would just be a question of whether Tasker can outmaneuver that same matchup.
Is that something you would do, or is that something you think Zeri would do? Because I can see some people think that. I'm just not certain that's specifically what you think Zeri would do. No, I get that that's a tactic that you like, but not everyone necessarily thinks like that. I'm just saying, it sounds like this is you saying, oh, if I was in Zeri's shoes, as opposed to, this is what I expect from Zeri. So I wouldn't, I don't know, you would want to counter team someone because you feel like they're just better than you or whatever, but that may not be their approach is all.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
it really depends. At the end of the day, I can't speak. I'm not Zeri, so I can't speak whether he thinks he's better than Tasker or maybe he thinks he's worse than Tasker. I just know that if, based on what I've witnessed and based on the evidence that's out there, if Zeri tried to come in with the same sort of approach, he'd lose again. You saw how the games, they weren't really that close either. So it's if you want to try and make that same approach, you've seen what happened. You've seen what's happened in the first series. So I expect him to take more risks in matchup, maybe ignore a few threats in order to focus on a general philosophy. But it should be a good. I always like the rematch more than the first series because it's got that element of mind game to it. So regardless, it should be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So that is the 2nd seed versus the 7th seed. Let's skip the games where we're a part of them. So that would make the other one we can talk about being Katut versus Pepe, which is also definitely the wild. To me, this is the wild card match of the top 8. There's I think there's a definite separation between me, you, Teddy, Tasker, TJ. As the more traditional, have been around PU for a long time, some of the top people. I mean, TJ is definitely, in fact, you could probably just make the separation between me, you, Tasker, Teddy, and then TJ, Katut, Pepe, and Zeri being the kind of newer players who made their way into the circuit, as opposed to the old PU staff or been around a long time, been playing since XY, whatever. And Katut versus Pepe, I think this could really go anywhere. They both bring crazy stuff. They both will sometimes make absolutely whack plays. They will both sometimes just legit not just really fall off and not bring their A game whatsoever, but they've both had very strong highs with seasonal winning or 2nd place finishes for both of them as in their peaks. So they're not bad by any means, but I cannot say too much as to where this is going to go. I could talk a lot longer about any of the other matches, but this one's out there.
Yeah. Okay. So my interpretation of this game is I feel like Pepe and Keita is literally just a coin flip. Whoever on their day has the niche tech that wins them the game is going to win the series. And I feel like there's no really distinguishable skill gap between both of them or distinguishable team building ability, advantage between them. I guess if you had to go off of more recent results, Keita has been more in tune with this meta, whereas Pepe Juice kind of fell off in comparison to the metas where he was winning. Didn't he win the season? Yeah, he won the seasonal versus me, didn't he? So,
he won. He qualified off of tours that happened much earlier in the year. I haven't seen him around too much recently, but I do believe he has been playing PU. I'm pretty sure he went far with this team in the ghosting tournament. Not that that's a big relevant tournament at all, but I'm pretty sure he played in the ghosting tournament or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think basically what I'm going off of is that Keita has played or has more recent results that like back him up compared to Pepe Juice, where you have to search further back. So in that regard, I'd have to favor Keita, but in general, it's literally a coin flip. Like if I had to favor Keita, it would be 50.1 to 49.9. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It would be that type of game.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. It's more like we also just don't have like the data on these players as opposed to everyone else. Like Teddy, Tasker, TJ, me, you, even Ziri have been playing like every seasonal with lots of recent games with up-to-date thoughts that you can kind of go back and look at. These two guys, not so much. You know, I could chart Teddy's teams for the past like 5 years of PU. Hasn't been around for 5. No, we might have been around for 5 years. Yeah, no, I actually think we've been around for 5 years now, if you go back to like early Black White. Anyway, point is, we don't have that kind of data, so I guess all we can do is move on from them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to talk about the one that I'm in or the one that you're in?
Oh, you're playing TJ, aren't you? So yeah, we'll talk about Americans' Civil War first, and then we'll do Britain's Civil War second.
All right, sure. So I have not started like prepping or really thinking too hard about our match. To be honest, I'm still on my ultimate break. I'm gonna come back and start grinding away tomorrow. But initially, I do think, from like an unbiased perspective, this is another one that could really go either way. Just because, I'm sorry, there's a plane going overhead right now. This one. This one could really go either way just because I have not necessarily brought a huge A game recently, whereas TJ has only been on the rise as a PU player. I have not been very as impressive recently. Like I have had very good PU results in the past. I've been a strong player, but you can go look at my seasonal games and whatever, and I'd be the first to admit I'm not necessarily where I've been. I've been having more success in non-PU metas than PU right this moment. So this is, for me, I'm like, I need to come back and really show up for this match, and it's all like, how much can I get it together? Because I think TJ has been consistently strong enough. The only thing to really like flip that narrative is that we did just play for Discord Premier League. This was a best of one game where I won. A lot of that game was on like having a huge surprise tech turn one. That was the Choppleberry counter lol and Sandslash we talked about last week. So that definitely had like a massive impact on that game. And I think I played the game well, but still did not bring like team A game. So that's still something to flip the narrative. But yeah, I think TJ is going to just be strong. I don't think he's slowed down whatsoever in terms of playing recently. And it's almost like the ball's in my court. I'm the lower seed here. So, yeah.
Yeah, basically how I come, or how I sort of interpret this matchup is as you have the highest ceiling, but TJ's more consistent at the moment. I feel like that's fair based on like your most recent results and how TJ's currently playing, but not neglecting your achievements in the past as well. So in the same way where we say like Teddy on his day is, you know, one of the best players in Pokemon, like an online Pokemon, like he's at the top. In the same way that we can say that, I feel like in this matchup you have that the ceiling advantage over TJ. So if you bring your A game, you bring a team that you're comfortable with, and TJ just brings what he averagely does, I think you'll smoke him. But in the same way, if you're bringing what you've been more recently bringing, and TJ brings what he's been more recently bringing, I think TJ would come up trumps in that matchup, or in that regard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Like it's harder for us to objectively evaluate this game, or you versus Teddy for that matter. It's going to be hard to be objective here, but we do need to talk about them. It's kind of our thing as hosting Untier Talk.
But yeah, I think that's I think that's about as reasonable as we can get it. So
yeah.
You versus Teddy. This. Go ahead. No, you go ahead first.
I'm predicting a 12-0, and I'm going to beat Teddy 12-0. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
I'm joking. Teddy is a formidable guy. He's a great player, and the worst part about playing Teddy, for me personally, is that I can't come into it with a fresh mindset. I've never been able to ever, because I play with him so often and so frequently, and because I've sort of become accustomed, and we sort of become accustomed to our own like mind games.
I mean, how do you beat your ghoster?
Wait, what? Hello? Yeah, but you come accustomed almost when you play with somebody so much. You come accustomed to the regular mind games that would occur in like a standard tour match. So then you have to play the mind game on top of the mind game. So for example, Teddy knows if I have to trick him up with a load and eggy, I'll always predict the switching all the time, every time. So because I can't waste the trick room turns, it's like there's something inside me that can't. So he'll stay in with let's say.
He'll stay in with Tangela instead of going hard into a lone Sand Slash because
exactly.
Well, no, you flamethrower Tangela. Anyway. That was a bad example, but yeah, you get what I mean. You know, you're not going to drop Dracos. You're going to be like, nope, he's going to a lone Sand Slash. I gotta flamethrower it.
Yeah, I'll always make the hard read. So he'll make the hard read, predicting the hard read, and then I'll make the hard read, predicting the hard read, predicting the hard read, and then it comes in like a cycle like that. And basically, what ends up happening is either one of us, most of the time me, ends up looking stupid.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Like, I've seen you play Teddy before, and I don't think like the reads you go for are unreasonable or anything when you keep in mind that you guys have that history. I guess if someone was just looking at it blind, but like nothing is so crazy that I just don't know where it's coming from. It's not like that silly, but. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Occasionally, you guys I've seen a lot of your sets, and occasionally they get like not great. There's a bit of a curb stomping from Teddy sometimes, whereas I don't think you've ever really curb stomped him, to be honest.
Oh no!
But that's not to say that you haven't beaten him, or like for the most part been very competitive with him. I do think this is something that could go either way. Teddy's definitely the safe pick, and if I had to pick someone to win the tournament, obviously like Teddy is the easy pick. But this could be a big one. This is like your classic. How do you know the PU circuit is pretty good? Because we're running to those Teddy and Jad matchups. It's the classic. Like this is top PU right here. This is PU players who actually make it to SPL for other metas. Wait, did you get drafted in SPL? I don't know. Whatever.
The thing that I find with Teddy, the thing that separates him is that he is sort of comfortable playing with his favorite teams against people who know that they're gonna bring that team. Like.
Oh yeah, he's not afraid of getting counter-teamed. No.
Yeah, like he's more than like his meta knowledge is so vast where he looks at the counter team before the counter team even happens. Like he'll predict techs before they've even happened. So that in terms of that, you can't approach Teddy with the same or a mindset where I have. Let's just name a random wall breaker. Let's say Nasty Plot Simi-Sit, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to the Teddy saying, Teddy's going to bring balance, so I'm going to bring this Nasty Plot Simi-Sit and I'm going to beat him, okay? You can't beat him based on that philosophy because he won't lose to something like that. He'll have like a way out. He always has a way out, like a Pursuit CB Live Bard or, Ockerberry, fucking, I don't know, Tangela, something like that, something crazy, right?
Ockerberry, Tangela, hello?
Yeah.
Hello, okay.
But
all right, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but let me refine it a bit.
Yeah.
He knows what people want to bring against him, and he will bring like your typical team styles and be ready. he brings team styles, but he's just like a better builder, and he is prepared for the counter teams like Semi-Seer. But like people who are good enough, like they're always going to be prepared for different matchups, whenever. And Teddy gets hard matchups. I don't think that's unique to him. He's just simply a better player than most people in PU. And he is better at outplaying bad matchups. And very specifically, I think one of his strengths as a player isn't necessarily making a crazy read or coming up even really dominant in like at like preview, unless it's specifically with stall and the other person doesn't have a way to break stall. I don't even think he's necessarily always dominant there, but I think his real strength is just like, okay, Semi-Seer is really threatening. How do I constantly play in a way that it never is going to win? I always have my toxic Pokemon out so that it's not setting up and then just being able to wall break with impunity. I'm always I'm always keeping up that pressure and thinking about like, if Semi-Seer were to come onto the field on this exact turn, would I be okay? And he's always very good at playing around those hard matchups more than any other strengths as a player. I think that's where you want to watch. If you go analyze Teddy games, that's what you should be looking at to pick up on, because that's what he's really good at.
Yeah, but not to like bury myself into the ground here. Teddy understands that I've watched him since he basically broke on the scene. So I've seen him through the days where he's gone something ridiculous like 20-5 in SPLs in NU, right? And I've seen him go to the Grand Slam finals in, or just recently, right? So I've been watching him quite closely, and he understands that I know where his vulnerabilities as a player and as a team builder are, and I'll know specific areas where I can exploit him. Doesn't mean that I'll win, but I know which areas to target such that I have an advantage or that tiny edge, right? Whereas Teddy, how do you at the end of the day, you can't predict, the other guy's 6 months off of the rip in the same way that I can't predict Teddy's 6 months off the rip. But I know Teddy's probably more secure, I guess, in that sense, in his skills than I am. So he'll probably bring closer to what he prefers, and I'll bring something out of my comfort zone more to get that edge.
Maybe. I don't think you can totally call that, especially once you've said it out loud in a place that he might listen to. I don't even know if Teddy listens to Untier talk. Like, I know most PU people like actually do, which is crazy to me, but someone like Teddy, maybe not.
Dude, this is the mind game that I'm talking about. I'm already preparing the mind game on top of the mind game. So if he listens to this,
if he listens to Untier talk, you're gonna casually figure out if he does. And I guess like the other potential limiting factor is just that he is also in NU Circuit Tour playoff semis right now. I don't know if needing to prep for 2 tournaments is actually going to like negatively impact his prep here. I think Teddy is definitely capable of prepping for both NU and PU very well. Like, but as someone in 3 Circuit Tour playoffs, #humble brag, I am aware of how it can be annoying to need to think about all these different tours and stuff, so that might be a limiting factor worth bringing up. Also, just to plug and say, go Teddy. PU mains are showing up, dude. We got Teddy in top 4 of NU, and we got Ziri, what am I saying? We got Evagero in RU Circuit Tour finals versus Pogis. And then I'm in top 8 of Ubers, which started at top 16. Most of them are top 16. And also, no, I think that's it. But yeah, so that's some PU mains. Hey, PU's good tier. What else? I think that was pretty much it. It's just the circuit. That's all we really wanted to hit on.
Yeah, but speaking more on like the circuit and stuff, I feel like with this circuit in particular, like you can tell that the caliber of player is ridiculously high. Like you can't really call somebody who doesn't deserve to be where they are, because like for each one you can almost say like this guy has been super consistent, or this guy's won something, or this guy has done this, right? And that makes them essentially stand out from the crowd. I feel like this is like a really exciting time, to be honest. I think we'll have some really good games at the very least.
I think we're absolutely going to have many, many good games. And a couple of mediocre ones, but mostly good ones. Anyway, speaking of a couple of mediocre things, I think it's time to go into Jad's Gimmick Corner.
Love it. Right. Are you ready for my fantastic gimmick?
I'm never ready for your fantastic gimmick. Hit me.
It's Assault Vest Carnivine. I'm joking. It's not Assault Vest Carnivine.
I knew you were joking.
It was...
I'm learning.
It's max HP, max speed, Togedemaru with Rocky Helmet.
That's
and Iron Barbs.
That's not new.
Well, it's not new, but it's gimmick. It's not standard.
Oh, yeah. I guess. I think that's kind of pushing it. Is not something that you're throwing out there for the first time, but it's not easy to always be like the leading meta innovator. And I gotta say, it's a good set. I've been using Helmet Togue recently. It's nice. It's a nice boy.
The thing with Helmet Togue is that it's just great. It's the main thing that I found with it is that in this meta where you have so many like powerful breakers, you have your likes of Aggron, Stoutland, several U-turn mons to get in Aggron and Stoutland. That ability to punish Rocky Helmet, to punish U-turners, and to punish the physical breakers is like really important. Not really important, but it's really useful in a meta where it's often impossible to check all your big threats, right? So sometimes you just want something that will trade 1-for-1 with the big threats, or like really punish other smaller things. So for example, I think with this Togedemaru set in particular, what makes it, I sort of had the idea, when I sort of used it, I had the idea from an old Teddy game that I watched. He had the Wish Protect Jirachi in OU. So I thought, what's the equivalent in PU? And it's like Togedemaru. So I slapped Rocky Helmet and Iron Barbs on it, and it did work. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the same reason why we use the Helmet Skunk. It's really nice to just dump on all the physical things in the tier. It's like, hey, Dodrio, you want to throw out an attack? Well, you might be taking like 70% from that attack. Plus, we got all these entry hazards.
Dude, it's not even like 70%. It's like 70% plus Spiky Shield plus 70% again, plus the potential switch after that. So it's like, if you don't predict it coming in and killing it immediately, if you don't do that all on its own costs 50%. And you're not going to predict Togedemaru to be that set. You're going to predict it to be Scarf most of the time, especially if you build your team such that it looks like Togedemaru is the Scarfer. This set becomes really freaking annoying because not only does it provide that chip damage and that element of like, whoa, what's this set? What am I supposed to do here? Type of thing. It's also super good for when you have teams that sort of get whittled, with time, like Mesprit gets whittled over the course of the game.
A lot of Pumons get whittled. It's not a recovery heavy tier. That's why hazards are good. That's why helmets are good. And Togue is definitely showing like, hey, I can run this item too, and I got barbs, and it's annoying. And maybe we get Ferroseed back, and we run Helmet Ferroseed, and we get Miltank back, we run Helmet Miltank, and we start running more Helmet Quagsire, which is a good set, I swear. It's just all...
Actually, Helmet Quagsire is actually a decent set,
No, it is good. No, I've been running Helmet Quagsire. What do you mean? I like Helmet Yawn Quagsire. That's what I like.
That's an interesting set, yeah. But yeah, just in general, this set, I feel like, forget the physical meta. As long as you have this set, you have some sort of way of you're not straight losing to it. You're not straight losing to a Stoutland when you have this Togedemaru set, unless you play badly, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it gives you that sort of sense of relief where you don't have to worry about Stoutland all that much, or Aggron for that matter, right? You just you can play situationally, and it allows you to pick your matchups more easily than you previously could have. If you wanted to go 1-for-1, I need an Aggron check here and I need a Stoutland check here, you can just sort of ignore them and be a bit more liberal with your team building approach, which I have sort of had to be. Otherwise, you just get dunked on if you're too passive.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah,
getting dunked on for being too passive is never really a bad thing. And that's like the phrase right there. It's like, why would I want to use the Togue? Because the more passive someone plays, the more Togue is rewarding. The safer someone tries to be and the more cautious, you can get so much out of Togue. Because like, I don't really want to make like the hard play right here because it could be very risky. And like Togue helmet, something like helmet Togue can like force people to be better or die. And it's nice.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, I don't know, it's one of these ones where Togue is like it's just a mon that punishes really
everything.
Yeah, it just punishes everything. Like, it makes sure that if you have Stoutland, there's a cost to using Frustration, which often there isn't. Like, usually you just click Frustration and don't really worry about the repercussions, or you click Superpower if you want to get really fancy. But usually you just click Frustration or Facade or whatever and just sort of forget it, right?
Yeah.
Especially if there's just the Toge. Like, if you see a Toge as their as their like only normal resist, you're clicking Frustration. You're not clicking Superpower, because, well, why would you? Like, there's no point predicting it at that point, especially if you have a switch and like which most teams do. So it's like this set in particular works really well within the boundaries that this meta sort of pushes on it, and with team building being as restricted as it sort of is, like, it's not extremely restrictive, but it is sort of restrictive. And to have like creative freedom, you need to be a bit more liberal with your team building approach. Like, you can't be like, I need to check for everything. Like, you have to be a bit more like, this is my meta check here, this is my meta check there, and now I have these 3 or 4 slots that I can play with.
Yeah, I agree. Although blanket checking is definitely cycling around to be slightly dangerous again with your random like Simi-Seers and Alolan Eggies, especially especially those two in particular. Alolan Raichu to extent as well, being like, hey, I see that you have all these blanket checks. What if I run something weird that isn't easily blanket checked? And it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm just kind of bopped.
Yep, basically, that's it. But yeah, it's just a fun one. I would recommend people try it. Just like laugh at people. Like, just put lol in the chat when somebody clicks U-turn and takes 32%. Like, just do it. It's hilarious. It's well worth your time.
Yep. So thank you, Hujad, for your excellent gimmick. And I think that's I think that's all we got today. It's been a solid 38 minutes. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Next week, I think we can definitely actually like do some game analysis on the circuit games. That's what I'm hoping to do anyway.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
May even put up some video just specifically for those, because special event and all that. But I don't know. Might just link the replays. Hope you guys enjoyed.
We'll see what that.
And I'll see y'all in Smash Ultimate. Peace.
Peace.